Say that again.
Hey, how's everybody doing? It is blazing hot in here. Is anybody else feeling this? Are you feeling this too?
Mm-hmm.
I felt like Will Ferrell right there, I don't know why. Anyway, I probably should never say his name in church. Anyway, just kidding. We're going to get started today, and we might get out just a pinch early today because I've got to go fix my hair. Whoa. Whoa. Sorry. Anyway. Alright. So, last week I told you guys that we were going to talk about a video that I had made. But I've got bad news. Man, my hair is just like, it's bothering me now.
Well, go to the bathroom, we'll wait.
Wrap it up. Turn
Okay. I told y'all we were going to talk about a video that I had made last week, but I've got bad news. I couldn't find it. Do what? So I decided to go a different route. Being that it's Easter and stuff, I thought we'd talk about Jesus and stuff.
Since it's Sunday's going on.
Okay.
Actually, Palm Sunday, it's not Easter.
I mean, being that it's close to Easter, not Easter, but it's close to Easter. Sorry about that. Or Palm Sunday, yeah. So, has anybody in here ever had a bad day?
Yeah.
Has anybody in here had a bad day this last week?
No. Oh, wait, yeah.
Anna, you were shaking your head yes, like with some passion.
Like my son threw my only 4 to 5 month old phone on the floor and broke it.
That's a bad day. Did other things did anything else happen that made it even a worse day, or was that pretty much just do it?
That was pretty much it.
Okay. Anybody else had a pretty bad day this last week? Can anybody think of like a really bad day in the course of your life? Like maybe like, man, oh my gosh, it was maybe the worst day.
Yeah.
Somebody share like the worst today. Anybody?
Like in my adult life or my...
I don't care. It doesn't matter. And it doesn't have to be. Anyway, we've all had bad days. We'll move on. There's a kid's book called Alexander and the Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Day. Anybody ever heard of that? I'm going to read you a little clip of it, or a little snippet, if you will. Perhaps you can sympathize with Alexander. Sympathize, not sympathize. That'd be weird. It says, I went to sleep with gum in my mouth, and now there's gum in my hair. And when I got out of bed this morning, I tripped on the skateboard, and by mistake, I dropped my sweater in the sink while the water was running, and I could tell that it was going to be a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. On top of that, Alexander doesn't have any dessert in his lunch sack, and there's kissing on TV. I thought that was cute. So, turn to your neighbors and answer this question. How do you know you're going to have a bad day?
When your hair gets stuck on your mascara wand.
Oh.
Devastating.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anna.
That starts off a bad day.
Understand.
Yeah, it's off, especially when your hair is gone.
So like you're fixing, you're like working them eyes, and then like a piece
this
falls
one
down.
will get, and unless you catch it like immediately when you pull, like it's to the wand. So it's like the whole thing is
What was that?
jet black.
Okay.
What?
Okay. Somebody else. How do you know you're going to have a bad day?
Like when I go out to my truck and get ready to leave to go to work, and then get back out of my truck because I forgot something, go back in the house and get it, and then I get like a mile down the road and realize I forgot something else, and I gotta go back, and then I'm late to work.
Just one of the, yeah, golly. Okay.
Which happens about 4 times.
Anybody else?
When I'm oversleep and then leave the house and forget my badge. You can't get anywhere buildings without a stupid badge.
Just oversleeping always is like that's a doo-doo.
Oversleeping is okay there because I work 8 hours.
Yeah, you can go in whenever.
Whenever I want, but it's a matter of like, oh, I'm already late, and then I get there and like, oh, I forgot my badge. To go all the way back home again.
Me and Leah kind of have a system. I get the boys up and take them to school, and then she picks them up. And so whenever I get up and I'll like get myself ready and all that, and then I'll go in and I always get Ike ready first because I can either set him down and he'll just sit there like this, Or I can turn on the TV and he'll just be like, sit there and watch it. And so I know it's going to be one of those mornings whenever I go in there and I'm like, hey, bud, wake up. And I roll him over and he's like, ah! And he like rolls back over. I'm always like, oh, okay, it's going to be one of those. But anyway, we all have bad days, right?
Right.
Often on our worst day, God himself seems distant. God's power seems either unavailable, inaccessible, or both, or we just don't ever even, it doesn't ever even cross our mind that God is God and he is with us because our day is horrible and that's all that we can focus on. So, John 21, 1 through 14. I'm going to summarize it, if you don't mind, but the Bible teaches that Jesus lived on the earth for 40 days after his resurrection. Did everybody know that?
Yes.
Lived on the earth for 40 days after he resurrected. Then he ascended to heaven. During this period of time, he was apparently not physically with all the 11 apostles or disciples all the time. He did a lot of different things in that time, and he wasn't with the 11 all the time. So on this specific time, one day, 7 of the apostles were together fishing in the Sea of Galilee. This is in Matthew 4, 18 through 22. Peter, Andrew, James, and John were all professional fishermen. Anyway, and since nighttime is the best time to fish, they had been fishing all night long. Early in the morning, Jesus came and he called to them, "Friends, haven't you any fish?" Perhaps they were too far from the shore, or maybe it was foggy. They didn't know it was Jesus. They couldn't tell it was him. This was the third time that he appeared to them since the resurrection. So they'd only seen him 3 times since the resurrection. I'm not really sure how many of those days it went by. However, when they followed his instructions to throw the net on the right side of the boat, they caught so many fish that what? They couldn't haul them all in. And John was the first to recognize Jesus. Perhaps this incident reminded him of the time a couple of years prior that what? They were all out fishing and caught nothing, and Jesus said, "Throw them on the opposite side." And he does, and their nets break because they had so many fish in them. So, Peter said to the Lord, he recognized him, he says, "Go away from me, Lord, I'm a sinful man." In the presence of Jesus, Peter's failings loomed large. But this time Peter wanted to be close to the Lord, and he pulled on his coat and jumped into the water. Jesus had a fire and breakfast ready. He had fire and fish cooked up, ready to rock and roll. That's what I'm talking about. Had him breakfast ready, and this wasn't something that they were imagining. This was very real, and it was a resurrected Jesus. They knew certainly that Christ had risen. So, Christ is risen. Do you ever look at Jesus as your friend? I mean, he's obviously our friend because he's Jesus. He's friend to all. But I feel like oftentimes we look at God or view God or approach God as not necessarily a friend, but more of boss, large and in charge, maybe even father figure, which is perfectly normal. But in verse 5, Jesus calls them friends. He yells at them friends, which I thought was cool. I've got a video here I want to show real quick. Anybody know who Derek Redmond is? You know the name? Well, let me read you this and then we'll watch the quick video. It says, in 1992, the Barcelona Olympics, Derek Redmond of Great Britain lined up for the first semifinal of the 400-meter race. His father was sitting in the stands. Redmond had a fast start and was running easily. As he was continuing to the halfway point, he heard a pop, and he had torn his hamstring. His father was in shock. The other 7 runners had finished the race, but everyone was watching Derek, who was limping along trying to finish the race. Suddenly, a man appeared on the field beside Derek. It was his father, Jim. He told his son, "You don't have to do this." "Yes, I do," was Derek's reply. Then his father said, "If you're going to finish the race, we'll finish it together." And then as everyone watched, father and son completed the race and crossed the finish line. I've got a video. It's pretty powerful, at least to me. Y'all see that? pretty powerful video, at least to me. And a pretty awesome depiction of how Jesus and Christ loved us. That's the help that comes from the friendship of our Father and of a father and son. How much more can we have from our friend Jesus Christ, resurrection power? In Philippians 3:10, Christ has risen and he is our friend. How does Jesus being your friend give you power today? Anyone? How does Jesus being your friend give you power today? There are no wrong answers here.
I think just always knowing that he's there. I mean, knowing that you don't need to be afraid to fail, I guess.
Okay? Someone else? Do you think that Derek would have finished the race on his own?
Probably.
He might have. I don't know. May have. Probably would have been more of a struggle. Did you, I don't know if, and I don't know if you could see from the video because it's a small little screen. I wish I could have blown it up real big, but when he was trying to go and somebody, a couple people had kind of tried to stop him or help him, whatever you want to call it, before his father reached him. But did you notice his face when his father reached him and he looked and he saw that it was his father? He just collapsed in tears. And why? Why do you think that emotion hit him when he saw his father?
One person wanted to see the most.
I mean, I'm sure it was such an emotional time for him. It's something that he worked his whole life toward, and it was gone in an instant. But, he probably, I don't know, I could be wrong, but he may have felt disappointment, even that maybe I disappointed my family and friends. But then to feel the comfort and to look in the eyes of a person that loves you as much as anybody else on the planet, I'm sure was an overwhelming, just, I don't know, joyful, sad, joyful, all bundled into one that just couldn't help but come out. All right, number 2. Christ has risen and Jesus is our guide. In verse 6, talking to the disciples, Jesus said for them to throw down the net on the right side of the boat and you'll find some fish. Now, I'm not much of a fisherman. Ryan, I know you like to fish. And do you have all kinds of cool techie gizmos and gadgets?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, kind of? I mean, yeah. Do you have like a fish finder?
Yeah.
Is that new? That's probably not that new. It's probably...
Well, I mean, yeah, it's kind of blown up in the last 3 or 4 years. Like,
what does a fish finder do?
I mean, it shows you pretty much in a 3D image of what's on the bottom.
Really?
Yeah.
Does it actually show you fish?
Yeah. I mean, you can see, you can tell if there's a fish next to a stick or a wire going to a boat
Really?
dock. Yeah.
I just figured it's not like a sonar screen then. You're actually looking at like an actual...
A picture, yeah. You
Like
can
a-
actually look like to the side now, like underneath a dock. If you're driving next to it, you can see what's underneath it, to the side of your boat.
That's unbelievable.
And he still doesn't catch fish.
How do you lose?
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. Okay. Well, just like the fish finder, Jesus knew where the fish were. Jesus could guide them before his death. Jesus could guide them after his resurrection. He wasn't trying to convince them of his power because they had obviously already experienced and seen the power that he has. But he was trying to convince them of his identity as the Son of God. And he has the power to guide their lives. So, a guide has the power because the guide knows the way. I read a story of a guy. He said, once when my daughter was babysitting, she called because there wasn't anything in the house for her dinner. And she asked my wife to bring her something to eat. As Peggy left the house, I asked her if she knew the address. No, she replied, but I know where it is. I understand. Peggy ended up asking at 3 neighboring houses before she found the right house. Obviously, those people need to get to know their neighborhood better, or their neighbors better. The point is, Peggy didn't ask for guidance because she thought she knew the way. Isn't that just like us with God? So Peggy didn't ask for guidance because she thought she knew the way. Does that sound familiar? Every morning, many of you may not, I don't know. But I'll speak for myself. Every morning when I wake up, which is usually a very trying situation and time, when I wake up, I don't usually talk to God before my feet hit the ground. Right, wrong, whatever, I usually don't. Now, I ask God to guide my path, but almost 9 times out of 10, when I pray that, when I talk to God, when I ask Him to guide, it's usually in terms of something big. God, direct me. What should I do with this big situation? God, guide me as I try to figure out what I'm supposed to do here. God, guide me as I'm trying, how do I handle this? What do I do? What do I say to Him about this? Type thing. It's never just, God, guide me in your way. And the reason is because, just like Peggy, I don't ask for guidance because I think I know the best way. Now, oftentimes when I see a big situation and I know this is going to be a big situation, a big decision, I'll consult God's power. But just in daily, ordinary dealings, I don't usually do that. Is that wrong? Very wrong.
Yeah,
Any- What'd you say?
It's not like right. I wouldn't say it's the perfect thing to do.
I mean, it's not right. Not to, okay. Am I the only one? I don't know. Okay. I could have been preaching to the choir here. I don't know. Psalms 119, 105 says, "Thy word is a lamp to my feet and a light for my path." That was Psalms 119, 105. Sorry. Psalm 119, 9 says, "How can a young man keep his way pure?" By living according to the word. God's word can guide us through all of life's ups and downs.